Good morning, channel friends.
Hello?
Today, unfortunately, we haven't decided on anything that needs to be done, and for us, this is a bit of a hard thing to bear. However, we understand that when one goes into other people's houses and there are significant renovations involved, the pieces that were there before and that then need to be put back into these rooms must still follow a logical thread. Giorgia, our friend, is an interior designer and engineer. She often finds herself doing very big house renovations from A to Z, so she starts from the brick to the complete renovation. She applied wallpapers, renovated the house, and she brought me 2 pieces of furniture. And she said, "Elisa, I would like the mirror to be white." I said, "No, I can't do a tutorial with the white mirror because the people who follow us are now used to having such high-level advice." However, I thought about it, and some people who see this video for the first time might find some tricks interesting that maybe they haven't, let's say, figured out before starting the makeover. So we must make this clock and this mirror flawless to perfectly fit into this new environment, which is extremely modern and incredibly minimal. I've already warned her, given that they won't be too minimal because the shapes don't allow us to, but they will be much lighter. This will be pepper blue and clear sand, but it will also have rococo. No, not rococo maybe. We have to choose.
We'll see.
The mirror will match with the same colors, but let's see together how to work 100% on these 2 pieces of furniture, which is not at all easy because there are some tricks to carry out before making a mess. Right? We've made quite a few over the years. Let's start. Tip 1. To work better on a mirror, take it apart. So I know that sometimes you've thought about applying some paper tape underneath. You are afraid sometimes to take down a mirror because then you find yourself with this mirror wandering around the house. But remember that the mirror reflects. And so if you don't paint the wood behind, it might as well be seen. Today I have to do it because it's not a usual makeover, where we might add a bit of rococo, some Mida, we gild it and revitalize it. Today we will change its color. It's crucial to understand it'll reflect, and you will see that it was poorly done. So I take a screwdriver and calmly, having some space to place the glass or mirror on, and we start to detach everything. The screws are coming off well. It is a mirror that had been in the house until the day before yesterday. It practically did not get any moisture. It was not in the basement, and it was not abandoned. So it's a mirror that is physically fine. It does not have woodworms. It does not have anything wrong with it. The screws, as you can see, haven't experienced any humidity over the years and come off easily. We remove them, store them in a glass for reuse since they are perfect, and then put the original ones back on. And I prepare the vacuum cleaner and everything else to clean it because even if the house was clean, over the years some dust has entered in the crevices of the glass and the mirror. After removing everything, and cleaning the rest, we also do aba on the frame. Now you will have the opportunity to see how a mirror looks once it is opened. Almost all mirrors from the 1900s, let's say, have these pieces of wood nailed down that hold the mirror in place. What I suggest is, before removing them, number them, so take a pencil and write 1 on top and maybe go clockwise, 2 on top, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Therefore, the sequence starts from 1 and goes up to 8 clockwise. That way, if you remove them and then want to put them back, you know where they were. Why? Because the holes of the 2 nails will always be there, and therefore we can put them back. And they have different thicknesses. These small wood pieces were handmade. That's why it's best to number them, okay? After that, I take an old spatula. This is a spatula that I always keep because it's small and old. Or if you want, you can take a screwdriver, whatever you want, something very delicate anyway, and remove them in this way. Look how easy it is. I will not have any fear of breaking the sticks or nails because I always go slowly and cautiously. But above all, I will not even have any fear of mixing them up because Emma has thoughtfully put an identifying number on each of them, okay? So 1, 2, we know exactly where to put them. Why am I telling you this? Because you can see that, even though it was here, there isn't the same space difference from the edge. Here there is less, here there is more. For this reason, they have different thicknesses, as they must hold the mirror steady on the frame, which is a handmade frame with a handmade mirror, so it was cut in different ways, but manually. Therefore, these small sticks of different sizes are used to keep the mirror steady to the millimeter. So, let's put them back in the same place. They were also done very well for another reason, because they didn't use glue, which is one of the things I hate most about old furniture. Because glue, more often than not, is really a problem. Put yourself in my shoes. Here the glue would not have allowed me to remove this stick easily. Rather, it would have caused me quite a problem. Good job, Emma, because she also labeled the frame with the corresponding number to the piece of wood. This way we will avoid any errors, even if someone else needs to reassemble the mirror and not us. You see, for 4 she wrote down 4. I removed all the wooden stops. Now you should prepare a surface to put the mirror on, all right? Don't be caught unprepared. I'll lift it from underneath. Emma helps me, very gently.
Voila! Do you have it?
Okay, put it facing upwards so we can clean it well in the meantime. Now we have our frame, beautiful and problem-free. We can plaster it and glue it if it needs to be glued. There's a spot here that you see it's slightly broken. So now I take the glue and a clamp and fix it up. So we have to do a good job, and then we can paint both the outside and the inside of the frame because you have to remember that the mirror reflects, and all these grooves must also be colored on the inside. For small repairs, I always keep the Univil. It's the one we also use to glue moldings. Keep in mind that it is a glue you should always have, as it solves a lot of problems. Here, as you can see, it's broken at the base and needs reinforcement. And then I think I also saw another small breakup here. Since we have to paint it, we have to fix it, okay? So, let's begin by applying it like this, all across the entire surface. If you have a Belle Arti spatula, it would be even better, as we will delicately apply the glue on the interior and subsequently, if you can, connect them so that they are as close as possible to each other.
Surely this wood has moved a bit over the years, so it won't exactly be easy to restore it to its original state, but we can try. Can you hand me a piece of paper, Emma?
Yes. I remove the excess so that I can clearly see where I am. Okay, and then I will have to join them together. One here and one over here. I place a clamp so that it can hold the molding tightly until the glue
has dried out. Et voilà, here we are.
Now I proceed by gluing here and here as well. Here you can see it is completely lifted. So we carry on fixing the moldings. We are applying the first touches to this beautiful watch. Emma is placing the tape on the glass, and I am reattaching a foot because it had come off. It had 2 solid screws, but let's say that over time the glue had dried up, it had come off, and I had to reattach the whole foot. Now it's nice and solid. We protect the parts we don't want to risk getting dirty, but in many cases, Emma and I go straight in with the brush because we like to do these fine jobs gently. This bouquet will be covered. It no longer matches the style of the house, and we will change its look. I take the clear sand, I take a flat brush with a flat tip, perfect for this kind of work, and first I go around the edge, like this. By doing this, you will avoid the risk of staining the molding too much. I do not care that much, also because I'll apply the gold leaf on the molding, you know it, right? Thus, gradually, I just proceed to apply the base to my small curls, I apply the base so that it is all colored with clear sand, and then I continue with the complete coverage, maybe using a 30 brush. I will definitely lay 2 coats of color on this center before starting with the decorative part. If you have very small moldings, you can also take a smaller brush and go in there. You know that the brush set consists of brushes of different sizes, precisely because when using small brushes, one size is not enough. There always have to be different sizes to meet your needs. You see, I paint here gently, I go well inside the moldings, and I am good. I go on with the interiors and the clear sand, while Emma starts on the external part with pepper blue.
Yes.
Which brushes will you use?
I have 2 tiny brushes from the set, one pointed and one flat, and a 51.
The coats of paint on the clock are drying. We applied a full coat and several touch-ups with pure paint in order to achieve a complete coverage of blue and white.
Some cracks seem to have come out in some places earlier. We applied a second coat, let's see.
Probably some crackles will come out, but we will see. Here we have to go step by step. This frame is very cracked. The owner does not want it antiqued, patinated, or pickled, and that is one of the most difficult things, to get something perfect, just recolored. Yes, because it is much easier to make a patina, a wash, or an antiquing with waxes than to create a perfect surface where there isn't one. So, we gather up some patience and Materic Cream. We put on gloves, because we're going to use our finger, which is the best tool we have to do a perfect job, and we're going to fill in the holes where filler is needed. Afterwards, with a very fine abrasive sponge, we sand and try to make everything as precise as possible. Obviously, the frame is very old and made of wood, which moves, and over time, over the years, cracks can easily come out. Because you know that if you paint a kitchen and it's made of solid wood, maybe it's summer, then you have the heating, the wood shrinks a little bit, and it can be that cracks come out. This is not a problem of paints, because it also happens with enamels, resins, and chalk paint. But be aware that if you do makeovers on frames, or wooden furniture in general, they shrink and can crack. It may occur here, and that's okay. Thus, we fill in the parts that are the most annoying for me, which are precisely those that have these ugly marks. We frequently find this thing because the base of these old frames is made of chalk. And what did they do? They made a chalky base. Later, they would die, sometimes adding a gold leaf for the most beautiful, valuable frames, other times using gold paint. Gilded. Here there is just paint underneath. I had touched it. It is not cold. And so we go on to lightly plaster to ensure it is as smooth as possible after having painted.
The Materic Cream is completely dry, and by using a sponge to smooth surfaces, I proceed to sand the surface to remove any excess of Materic Cream that may be present.
Can I have the cloth?
Yes, here.
Thanks.
Using a damp cloth, well wrung out, I remove the dust. Then with my hand, I feel if everything is flat or if there is something else to remove. Here it seems perfect. I proceed on the whole frame. The Materic Cream is dry and very smooth. Now let's start painting. We'll make the internal part with pepper blue, while the external one will be clear sand. Since there are several layers of gold, as you were explaining to me earlier, some traces of oxidation could rise on the surface.
We can also refer to it as tannin stains, even though
we know that instead it is oxidation of the metal particles. So let's apply an anti-tannin coat on the base to be safe and comfortable.
the anti-tannin will therefore stop any kind of rising, and we will be confident that our clear sand will be nice and pure.
The oxidation may rise on the anti-tannin, but there is no need to worry. It will not rise on the clear sand as well. We must apply pure anti-tannin, ensuring a uniform layer that is not excessively thin. We must also guarantee that it has a coating effect, so we need to be cautious and meticulously close all the holes.
Very good. Otherwise, we could risk in those parts a rise.
Yes, exactly.
And now you see, I proceed with a tiny brush, very slow, with pepper blue, slowly.
And the whole inside part will become extremely modern.
One obvious thing, but I'm telling you this anyway, I don't apply anti-tannin under the blue because even if a gold stain rises, it won't be visible. Don't worry, it's something to prefer when there is a light or white color.
Especially for a super smooth, even effect and not glossy.
Great, just what the owner wants in her home. While Emma finishes with the anti-tannin on the frame, I start with the Linfa on the clock. The Linfa is the mission that helps me to perfectly glue Mida, our special gold leaf, thanks to the decal. I'll apply Linfa only on the edges, on the molding, with two very delicate, very small brushes, and I must not smudge at all, because where I apply the Linfa, the leaf will also stick. Please, Pina, pay a little bit of attention. I place some Linfa in a small bowl, and I will use a small amount at a time to prevent it from drying out or experiencing any other different effect. I grab my small brush, slightly drain it, and then carry on with my precision project. As you can see, when you apply the Mission Linfa, you can see it has this particular color. Okay, so the Linfa will be ready for the gold leaf to adhere the moment you'll see that it becomes transparent. So to recap, as long as Linfa has a color, it is not ready to receive the gold leaf. When the Mission Linfa becomes transparent, it is ready. I continue slowly over the entire structure. Remember one small thing. If you have an absorbent surface such as cardboard, wood, or fabric, it is better to apply Linfa twice, because during the first application, it will settle at the bottom, while during the first application, it will be perfect for the gold leaf to stick. Always remember that Mida is a special leaf because it has a decal and it doesn't fly. In moments like this, it's truly a godsend. Emma is cutting the gold sheet into 3 for me. Why? Because that way I don't waste anything. I start using what I have by moving it, and all the pieces that will remain attached can still be used because I will move them and use them in other places. Let's recap. We applied the mission, and 15 minutes have passed. It's dry, and you can tell it by the fact that here it's transparent, whereas here it's still drying. It's slightly whitish, bluish. Now I take my gold leaf and start. I have with me a smaller brush and a larger brush. This is to press down the leaf well and make it go into the crevices. I made it thicker with Emma to cover the entire molding on both the right and left and the central part. And as always, I do not love a super precise gold leaf that looks almost fake or old. I like a very worked, almost crackled application of gold leaf.
So you do as you prefer. If you have not filled all the small openings, you can fill them, but I prefer it to be slightly antiqued. And there you have it.
The effect is beautiful also because underneath you can glimpse the old gilding that is now antiqued, and it's truly beautiful. Using the same small piece, if I can also cover more parts. Now I move it here and I make this curl. There is very little waste because what is not used stays attached to the sheet, and I practically waste nothing. Look. I carry on the whole frame, and very slowly I also reuse what remains on the piece of paper so as not to waste anything. Nice. Can you see how it becomes shiny once I brush over it? It becomes beautiful and solid. It is real gold, pure gold. This is stunning.
I turned the mirror upside down, and now I am going to work on the entire inner edge using both clear sand and the blue pepper blue. This is because the mirror can reflect, the woods might not fully lean, and therefore you might see the color underneath. It's best to do that as everything will have the same color. Like the other side, I do the interior part with pepper blue.
It is very beautiful, isn't it?
Very much, we'll be honest.
There are 2 changes on the way. Because last night we were almost at the end, we called Giorgia to show her how happy we were with the result. First, there should have been a transfer in here. According to her, writing was fine. I had suggested writing with some flowers. The idea sounded good, because I didn't want to leave this central part empty. However, I saw it as beautiful, pure, simple, and elegant. Nothing more is needed. The protection is missing from the clock. We will put it on later, but it's finished. For the mirror, I had a briefing with Giorgia, and I asked her, are all the walls light? They are not white, but they are in sand and earth tones, very light walls. And I said, and you make me do a wall, a mirror, that is white and blue. It looks like a ship. It's a sea effect, right? It would look good in the Mediterranean, this beautiful mirror. And it had nothing to do with it.
So even though Emma wasted half an hour yesterday applying anti-tannin, we decided to change it in the process.
Yes, we'll make everything pepper blue. This mirror will stand out more on the wall, it'll be more elegant, and it will still look good with the clock.
Right?
So, no more talk. You should know that if you use dark tones, you don't need anti-tannin. But if you use light tones on golden parts, as Emma said yesterday, it is strongly recommended to apply anti-tannin underneath to prevent oxidation from staining. Okay? With a pointed brush, I paint everything blue.
Let's go.
We applied the second coat on the frame, and now it's blue, perfect, solid, very elegant, modern, and contemporary. Anyway, Giorgia called and said she's coming, so she'll help us close the video, and she'll see the work done under her commission. We apply jasmine wax, the protective wax, to seal everything well, since it won't be a high-wear makeover. It won't be washed every day, so the wax is enough. A piece of advice: when applying the protective wax on surfaces like these, where they are half colored and half gold, it is recommended to apply the wax on the gold part afterward, okay? First, apply the wax on the dark part, then on the gold part. This is because if there are gilding pigments, you risk moving them on the blue part, and it would not be clean and defined anymore. It's time to put back the pins, then put on protection and finish the video. Let's see if Giorgia will arrive in time to see the result. Emma, can you find the previous holes?
Yes.
It would be better to put the pins back where they were before, if of course the holes are not too large or loose, to have a cleaner, more precise job. To avoid ruining the glass, I use a spatula and my cloth.
I go nearby.
I get close slowly so I don't risk any damage. 2 has been placed.
The third one as well. Let's proceed to the fourth. Can I have the lid?
We reused the old screws because they were perfect. They unscrewed very well. But above all, we screw them in with a screwdriver to avoid creating trauma in the wood. It's a job well done, meticulously, and we are sure that this mirror can be used for many more years to come. This makeover is done, and Giorgia has arrived.
Of course. We haven't completed the construction site yet, but we can imagine it being perfect.
Do you like it? Yes, we couldn't do the setting at the owner's house because, as Giorgia says, the work site is not yet finished. But the walls are, as I said, ivory or sand.
Yes, neutral. The pepper blue will stand out significantly and everything will look perfect together.
Okay, I'm happy. So listen, do you like the change of project? It's okay while working, so a piece of advice. When you go to your dealer to buy products, never buy everything beforehand. Stencil, finish coat, paste, transfer. No, you should buy everything gradually. If I had bought the transfer for the clock earlier, I would have spent money on something that I might not need anymore. Step by step. Buy the color, then gradually the decorative and the product for finishing. Shall we say bye? Emma, do you have anything to say? No, I like it. I'm happy. Great. See you at the next makeover. Bye.